Alright, so guys, this will be the very first video. It's just an overview of this text. I'll send you this text document as well, but I just want you to know what we're going to cover here. So on full takeover, no need to carry the factory key fob. We'll be remote starting the car, not using the factory remote. We won't be carrying the factory key. We will open a door and show you that it doesn't shut down. We will get in and close the door. It still doesn't shut down like it normally would. We will apply the brake and put it in gear. Still no shutdown like it normally would. We will drive a little bit just to show you that the car is operating normally. We'll stop and park it as normal. We'll turn it off as normal. And we'll get the status of the car via the key fob, which would normally generate an Air 3, and show you that the car is indeed off, locked, secured, and no Air 3. Alright? On another video, we're going to show the function of pit stop mode. So that's going to be unlocking the car as normal, manually getting in the car and starting it as normal, and drive as normal. We're not going to turn the car off, though. We're going to remote start the car with the remote start button, even though it's already running. That's known as pit stop mode, and what it does is it basically lets you exit and arm the car while it's still running. So it's still secure. We'll show that it's secured and locked and running. We'll explain that if an alarm was set off or a remote stop request comes in from the third-party remote, the car will indeed stop, something it normally wouldn't do. The invention fixes that issue. We'll explain that without the FT, without the full takeover, the car would be drivable if the alarm went off. So in other words, in pit stop mode, if somebody broke into the car, smashed the window out, yes, the alarm would go off, but the car would still be on, running, and drivable. So that's not good. So this fixes that issue. And then to finish that video off, we'll unlock and disarm the car, we'll get in, we'll drive away, and we'll stop, park, and turn off the car as normal, and show that pit stop mode is fully functional. Okay, in another video, we're going to demonstrate what happens when you plug the car in. So we're going to plug the car into a charger. We're going to drive several blocks away. My friend will drive us, and then we will use the third-party remote to show the temperature of the car and the battery. Okay, that's nothing special. That would have worked anyway, but we'll remote start the car while it's plugged in. Now, a third-party remote start would not work in a Prius Prime plug-in. What it would do is it would fake start. It would report that the car has started, but all it's actually doing is running down the 12-volt battery. The engine and the EV mode and the EV battery, the heater and the air conditioner will never engage, even though it reports a successful remote start. That's not good. We'll demonstrate that two-way function is indeed working, which is the whole point of going with a third-party remote. We will show the battery temperature, or battery voltage and temperature again while it's remote started, while far away from the car, to show that it has indeed started and the battery is engaged, or the engine is, no, scratch that. The battery will be engaged, not the engine. We will explain that if there is a break-in or a remote timeout or a remote stop, or the car's timeout itself happens while it's remote started, while plugged in, will indeed stop the car. That's another thing this solves. Let's see, we will drive back to the car in another car. We will remote start if necessary, because the car only runs for 15 to 20 minutes while plugged in. We'll show that the car is still armed and locked. We'll explain again that if someone were to break in, the alarm would go off and the car would stop while plugged in and taking a charge. We will unlock, disarm, open the driver's door, and show that it's still running in factory remote start mode. That's not a drivable mode. That's just that the air conditioner heater is still on. And we can place things like our wallet or cell phone into the car, basically opening the door without a shutdown. That's something that this unit solves. In a non-standard, in a normal Prius Prime, it would definitely shut down if you unlocked and opened the door. We will explain that if an attempt is made to drive now while it's still plugged in, the car won't go into a ready state because the plug is in. That's a safety feature. We don't want to bypass that safety feature, obviously. Once our stuff is stowed in, the car will exit and close the car, and the car will still be running. in remote start factory air conditioner heat only mode. We will pull out the plug, insert the cap over the socket, and close the lid. When we do that, we will show that the car has shut off when the plug door lid is closed. We'll show that the key fob indicates a stop while it's still unlocked. Remember, we unlocked it to put our stuff in there. So when we close the door lid of the plug, if we pull the plug out and close the door lid, the remote started car will stop now, and we want it to, for safety. We will wait 4 seconds after the stop, and then we will remote start the car. But this time, the plug door is closed, and while the car is remote starting back up, we'll put the plug away. Okay, we will listen for 10-second warning beeps. Every 10 seconds, the car beeps, warning us that on the 30th second, the car will be armed and locked. The car will by now have been remote started, and this time, because the plug door was closed and it wasn't plugged in, it is actually remote started in full takeover mode. We will get in, or we will re-unlock if needed. If it takes us longer than 30 seconds to put the plug away, we'll have to reopen the door, or re-unlock it and re-disarm it. We open the door, we'll show that there's no shutdown, the door is closed, no shutdown, we put it in gear, we have a full takeover, we can drive the car without any errors. We get done driving, we park, power off, exit as normal, and then when we exit the car, on the last door closed, it sets off the 30-second countdown again. So on the third 10-second beep warning, it will rearm the car itself, or you can manually arm it before then. Now, a lot of people are very concerned with security with this, because it does indeed bypass some of the built-in required safety features of the Prius car security system. But in these videos, we will show how all of those concerns and issues are solved. So in the next video, this is car theft attempt number 1. What we're going to do is we're going to roll down the window to make it easier on the thief, so in the demonstration we don't have to break any windows or anything. We're going to remote start the car normally, in other words, not plugged in, and we will film the car thief try to open the door. Film the car thief unlock the door through the open window and try to drive away. Obviously the car will be locked and armed, so this is a simulation of breaking the window, which alone would have set the alarm off. Well, let's just play devil's advocate and say it didn't for some reason. He reaches in with his hand and he hits the door unlock. As soon as he opens the door, the alarm will indeed go off, and the remote started car should shut down and not be drivable. We will demonstrate that. And after it shuts down with the alarm going off, we will film the thief try to restart the car with the push to start button. And we will explain and demonstrate ultimate lockdown and reset. What that basically means is once the alarm has been set off by a theft attempt, the car can no longer be driven at all by anyone except the authorized driver, even if you have a factory car key. You have to disable or shut. You have to reset the ultimate lockdown, which is a secret procedure that only the driver would know. And when this is installed, the installer will go through that with the customer. Okay, so that covers an attempted break-in during a remote start. Theft attempt number 2. The thief will actually hide in the back seat, assuming he could climb in through an open window or something like that, and wait for the actual user to remote start the car. Since he doesn't, then we'll remote start the car. Since he doesn't have to open the door and set an alarm off, the thief could just climb up front and never opens the door, and when he attempts to drive the car should shut off when he hits the brake pedal, which would be required to put the car into gear. So if the thief tries to restart car manually after it shuts down on brake pedal, but it won't. Thief exits the car, and of course now because the car is armed, as soon as he opens the door, the alarm will go off. That enables or puts the system into ultimate lockdown again, and in order to for anyone to drive that car, even with a factory car key or the third-party remote, they have to disable ultimate lockdown again. So we'll review that again. It's pretty easy though. Okay, we'll set up for attempt 3. So this video basically just covers not opening the door to set up to try to steal the car, but by trying to hide in a car and wait for someone to try to remotely start it and then steal it that way. That can't happen, and we will demonstrate that. Third video for theft. We will manually start the car, come back and park and stop the car. So basically we're going to take a normal trip. We're not going to remote start it. We're just going to get in. We're going to start the car. We're going to come back from our trip, and we're going to turn the car off with the push to start button. But we're accidentally going to leave the car door open, and we're going to forget to hit the arm button. So the car is a sitting duck, right? Well, what this feature is demonstrating is the thief will climb into the car. It is disarmed. It is off, but it is disarmed. There's no reason the alarm should go off, and it won't. However, when he tries to press the brake pedal and start the car now, for him, it won't start, even though that's exactly what we did. We climbed into a unlocked, disarmed car, and we manually started it. But when he tries to do it, it won't. And we'll explain why that's the case and demonstrate that the car is safe even if the user accidentally leaves the car door open and forgets to arm it. Because remember, when you close the car door, it'll arm itself. Okay, in the next video, we'll talk about an RF relay attack. All I can really do is talk about it. I do not have the equipment to demonstrate how an RF relay attack actually works, but we're going to pretend we do, and we're going to go through the actions and explain how that works and how this defeats that. That'll be a pretty short video, but this is a very important feature. And then in the final video, we're just going to talk about possible future upgrades that I would like at least covered in the patent. And they would be only for the Prius Prime, for plug-in cars only. And one of those features would be to force gas burning to provide heat. So in other words, if the car is plugged in, or even if it isn't, when you remote start a Prius Prime, by default, it burns the EV battery and does not burn fuel. And that's fine for the environment and everything. However, if it's in the winter, that is a very, very slow way to heat your car, and it burns up your EV battery. And when you finally do get out there, maybe even 45 minutes later, by then most of your EV battery is spent, and you're going to be burning gas during your drive, which is kind of pointless if you have a plug-in Prius Prime. So having the ability to force burning the gas during the remote start, and then when you get in, flip back to EV mode, saves you all your EV battery level, and you'll be able to drive without gas in a very nice, quickly warmed up car, because burning the gas warms it up way faster. Obviously outdoor use only for something like that. Forced gas burning to provide air conditioning saves EV battery for longer gas-free driving range. Same with air conditioning. In the event that your car is not plugged in, it is going to default to burning up energy from the EV battery, so to cool your car, and we all know air conditioning takes a lot of electricity. So your EV battery will take a pretty large hit, especially if your car is remote started for the full 45 minutes. By the time you get out there, you won't have much battery left to drive in that car, and you'll have to burn gas anyway. So making it an option, basically saying, I'm going to remote start the car, and when I do, I want the gasoline engine to run my air conditioner. That saves the EV for longer gas-free driving later. It doesn't have much advantage in terms of speed like the heat does. Obviously, burning gas produces heat. That makes the car heat up faster. But for air conditioning, it's all electric anyway. But it's nice to have that option to have gas power your air conditioner so that you're not wasting EV battery. And then all of this applies when the car's plugged in as well. So if the car is plugged in, you might still want it to burn gas to save your EV battery. You might still want it to burn gas to save your EV battery for air conditioning. However, the advantage of doing these things while it's plugged in is the energy that it takes to do those things comes from the plug. So you're not really burning the EV battery. So really, honestly, while you're plugged in, it's more for heating the car faster. because you got to remember this car only runs at a maximum of 20 minutes while plugged in, and really if it's below anything below 20 out, that is just not enough time. But if you're burning gas, it definitely is. So, and if you force burning gas also, it makes that runtime while plugged in basically switch off, and you get your full 45 minutes, because it isn't using the factory remote start HVAC system. It's using a full takeover system at that point while plugged in.